Hi, I'm John. We created Cruises with Friends to help you coordinate your sailings with the people you know.
Hello, and welcome to Cruises with Friends. Today, we're going to talk about whether the extra fee specialty restaurants on Royal Caribbean ships are worth the additional cost. We recently visited all of the specialty restaurants on board Oasis of the Seas multiple times to give you our impressions and help you decide for yourself if specialty dining is worth the upcharge. What are specialty restaurants? Royal Caribbean ships all have a variety of dining options that are included in your cruise fare. There's the main dining room, which offers traditional sit-down restaurant service, the Windjammer, where you'll find a large variety of buffet offerings in a casual atmosphere, and a few other fast casual places that vary from ship to ship. But for cruisers who are looking for an elevated culinary experience in terms of ambiance, quality, and service, and are willing to pay extra for it, Royal Caribbean has introduced specialty restaurants to their ships. These restaurants focus on a particular cuisine or theme and promise passengers a premium dining experience. So what should you expect from a specialty restaurant? This is simple. Given the extra cost associated with these venues, you should expect an intimate setting with elevated ambiance, exceptional service and attention to detail, and really good food. So how much extra cost are we talking about? Because Royal uses dynamic pricing, there is no definitive answer. But on an Allure of the Seas transatlantic cruise that we have booked for February of 2025, prices currently range from $16.99 to $44.99, depending on the restaurant. Is there a way to pay less? You bet. Most of the time, you'll see the option to purchase various specialty dining packages in your cruise planner. The same Allure sailing is currently offering a 5-night dining package for $177.99. If you were to buy the 5-night package, you'd pay $35.60 per person per meal. Though you're spending more overall than if you chose just one restaurant, if you know that you want to try several of the specialty restaurants, this is a really good way to save a bit of cash. This package would give you the ability to try any combination of available restaurants every night for 5 nights. So, you could eat at Chop's Grille every night if you wanted, or try several different restaurants. You can also opt to try many restaurants for lunch rather than dinner. The menus are typically a bit abbreviated, but so is the price. On the same cruise on Allure, lunch at specialty restaurants are being offered between $14.99 and $33.99, depending on the restaurant. Now that you know the options, here's our experience. On our recent transatlantic crossing on Oasis of the Seas, we purchased the unlimited dining package. This gave us the ability to eat at any specialty restaurant every night of the 14-night cruise, as well as have lunch on sea days. We'll start with Chop's Grille. This is Royal Caribbean's signature steakhouse, and you'll find it on every ship in the fleet. Our first experience was pretty much flawless, with excellent, perfectly prepared food, served hot with outstanding service. Subsequent experiences were not terrible, but service was very slow for one meal, and several of our sides were really served at room temperature. It should also be noted that one of our group is a Crown and Anchor Pinnacle member, and therefore is able to partake in a dedicated lunch featuring the Chop's Grille menu. During this lunch, the service was again on the very slow side, and the filet on the menu was tough and stringy, leading our Pinnacle member to conclude that a different cut of beef had been substituted. The next restaurant is 150 Central Park, and their claim to fame is simple yet elegant cuisine served in a comfy, chic, and welcoming ambiance. The overall quality and presentation of the food in terms of taste was very good. The food was flavorful, well-seasoned, and well-prepared. What wasn't as good was the kitchen's ability to get the food out at the correct temperature. This was an ongoing issue in this restaurant no matter how many times we brought it to the server's attention. For example, the signature bread in this restaurant is supposed to be served very warm with melted butter on top. Once, it came out as it was supposed to. All the other times, it was lukewarm at best and cooler than room temperature and unable to melt the butter on top at worst. Attention to detail could have used some work also. When we asked for a beverage served in a certain way, the request was fulfilled incorrectly more often than not. We were asking very specifically for a can of Coke and a glass of ice. We ended up with a glass of already poured Coke. When we asked to have some root vegetables, which were served as part of other menu choices added to our entree, the kitchen just threw some extra broccoli on the plate, and it was cold at that. During one meal, one of our party of 3 didn't get water when the rest of us did. The servers seemed like they were rushed. At one point, one of them leaned over the back of a chair to serve food instead of coming around to the side of the table. Next, we'll move on to Giovanni's table. This is an Italian restaurant serving a variety of pasta, meat, and seafood dishes. On the plus side, most of the food at Giovanni's was good to very good, with the exception of the chicken cacciatore, which was seriously lacking in flavor. Interestingly enough, on a different ship a few months prior, the carbonara was a salt fest. A request for chicken to be added to the gnocchi dish was fulfilled, so that was great. Unfortunately, not everything was up to snuff. The tables in the restaurant are simply too close together, making it difficult for waiters to maneuver. At one point, one of our party took an elbow to the head because the waiter just didn't have enough room to move between the tables. We also experienced issues with special beverage orders and food temperature here as well. The next restaurant is Izumi. They offer an inventive menu of Asian-inspired sushi, soups, noodle bowls, and more. We ate lunch at Izumi on numerous occasions and dinner once or twice, and the majority of our experiences went off without a hitch. The food and service were both very good almost all the time. There were a few hiccups here and there. Tempura dishes, which by their very nature should be served hot, were occasionally served lukewarm. Cocktail consistency was lacking. When this was brought to our waiter's attention, she honestly did everything she could to rectify the situation and explained that she was less experienced in making cocktails. We were surprised to learn that there's no bartender making cocktails in Izumi, and instead, each waiter is expected to mix their own. Izumi also offers a hibachi, which is a traditional Japanese group experience, complete with a chef that prepares food to order, as well as providing entertainment. Even with our unlimited dining package, we paid an additional upcharge of $15 per person for the hibachi. The food was very good and very much in line with what you could expect at a similar restaurant on shore, such as Kobe Japanese Grille. The chef was very good and kept us all entertained with food and spatula tricks, as well as jokes and the traditional food toss. That's the part where the chef tosses chunks of zucchini at diners, the object being to catch it in your mouth. Hilarity usually ensues. What wasn't as great was the fact that the cruise line chooses to pack at least 2 people too many around each table and grill. And worse, even though our table was not fully booked, staff insisted it was and refused to remove the 2 empty chairs and plates. This made what could have been a more enjoyable experience a little bit less so, because we were so crowded that it was impossible to avoid knocking elbows with our neighbors. Next, we'll move on to Playmakers. This is a sports bar and grill that serves traditional pub fare, including nachos, burgers with fries and onion rings, along with quesadillas, pulled pork sliders, and more. We had lunch at Playmakers a few times. There were no notable issues, and the food was very good. The only thing of note was the pokey nachos we ordered. They were still good, but not quite as good as the same dish when we had it at the same restaurant on a different ship. The dish we got on Oasis was, well, just kind of sparse in comparison. Portside BBQ is a casual sit-down venue serving low and slow cooked meats, including items like brisket and pulled pork, with classic sides like cornbread and coleslaw. We ate here a couple of times and found it a thoroughly enjoyable experience. The food was delicious and very plentiful. Next is Johnny Rockets. Johnny Rockets on Royal Caribbean cruise ships is the same restaurant you'll find shoreside, serving milkshakes, burgers, chili cheese fries, and the like in a casual diner-style atmosphere. We only ate here once, but the food and service was exactly as expected. So, what's the conclusion? Is Royal Caribbean specialty dining worth the price? Our conclusion is, well, maybe. These restaurants are smaller and more intimate with enhanced ambiance and service. The quality of the food is usually better than the main dining room. However, we found things to be hit or miss and inconsistent. Sometimes things were great, but on more than a few occasions, food quality, attention to detail, and service were lacking. and this did have an impact on our experience. If you have a special event, such as a birthday or anniversary, you may find a specialty restaurant dinner worth the cost, even if there are some hiccups. But given the significant upcharge and considering your cruise fare includes numerous other options, overall, I think we're going to pass. We hope you found this information informative and helpful. If you have any questions or feedback, we'd love to hear from you.
If you haven't already done so, why not check out the Cruises with Friends website and smartphone apps? Cruises with Friends is a service that we developed to allow us to connect with friends and share which sailings we are on. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel.